Hello to everyone. I'm Giuseppe Pellegrini of the Observa team, which is partner in the Concise project. In my presentation, I propose some thoughts and analysis on the data collected during the project. I would like to propose a look of the Italian public consultation, taking into account the topics we discussed with citizens in 10 different groups. In my presentation, I will talk on the public consultation in Italy data. Secondly, I will illustrate different positions of participants for different topics. And finally, I will suggest some interpretation of our results. These are the main data on our public consultation, attended by 93 participants from different age, gender, culture, and geographical area. During the consultation, participants discussed 4 topics: the climate change, vaccines, GMOs, and complementary and alternative medicine in 4 different group discussions. Analyzing the 4 themes discussed during the consultation, we find different orientation for participants following the main questions we proposed. Number 1, which sources most do you trust with? Number 2, what are the preferred channels for obtaining scientific information? And finally, number 3, to what extent do the media contribute to developing trust in science and technology? So I will present public perspective on trust, action, and some critical elements raised during the consultation. Considering vaccines, a topic of the health sphere, participants mainly trust in offline sources and particularly on doctors and scientists. Secondly, traditional media such as television and newspaper. To collect information, they consult traditional media, family circles, and friends, and they found troubles in experts different of opposite point of views and difficulties due to inaccurate media information. In the case of complementary and alternative medicine, citizens trust mainly in doctors, herbalists, pharmacists, and secondly in the internet, television, and newspapers. They search for information in personal relationship and through doctors engaging in complementary and alternative medicine. The main critical points in information regard the severity of diseases to adopt complementary and alternative medicine, conflicting opinions in digital media, and fake news. For climate change, citizens trust mostly in TV programs, newspapers, internet, and also in testimonials. In this case, frequently they mention climate change ambassadors such as Greta Thunberg and Al Gore. The search for recognized and competent experts is the main action participants do. So we can say in general that the main troubles regarding public communication are the scarce information of the institutions and fake news. GMOs is perceived as a cold topic at the time of the public consultation. Participants sustain a double source and channels of information, the internet and personal relationships. Considering specific action, they support research on multiple web sources and in traditional media. The GMO issue is quite complex, and it seems that there is a need to obtain different types of answers considering social, ethical, and political aspects. The critical elements for effective public communication are excessive tones and private economic interest. In our data, we find significant differences regarding the topics And we can say that they are the independent variables that influence the orientation of citizens in the choice of sources, channels, and methods of information. Given that the analysis of the public consultation was conducted as a qualitative study, so some position cannot be generalized. However, we can recognize the articulation of some issues of communicative interest. First of all, an important aspect is the distinction between online and offline, considering that in a highly digital world, the offline component is still very strong, particularly with regard to health issues. Traditional media still play a significant role, and this result confirms recent studies on communication during the pandemic. Most likely, for some complex issues, social media and the internet are not sufficient to satisfy the public's requests for information. So the willingness to contribute to the construction of scientific news remains in the public, and therefore the level of trust may vary if the sources and information channels take into account this different orientation for various topics and using different communication tools.